Hello, I'm Lerato Matlala, and this is the 7th edition of Creatives Under Lockdown, where we focus on issues affecting artists. She has performed on some of the best stages in South Africa, including at the Cape Town International Jazz Festival and Grahamstown National Arts Festival. She has also shared her music with fans in East Africa, performing in countries including Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. This week, I'm in conversation with musician Tribute Mboweni. So, Tribute, the music video for the song Tsokombela dropped yesterday. Congratulations. How did your collaboration with DJ Ganyani come about, and what is the story behind the song Tsokombela?
Shortly after I had just come back from Brisbane where I'm studying, I decided to DM DJ Ganyani. And I said to him that I would like us to work on a song together at some point. And I honestly didn't see this happening anytime soon because I essentially had taken a music break and I was really just concentrating on my studies. And he said, fine, let's do it. For a while, we didn't talk about this. And he, I think about 2 months later, sent me a message and he asked me if I'm in the country, and I said yes. And he asked for my contact details, and I gave him my email address and I gave him my number. And he called me shortly after that. He asked me what kind of song I'm looking for, and I said, I'm quite flexible. So anything that you have, I'd be able to work on it. And he said, okay, I'll go and, work on something and come back to you. He came back to me with a beat and he said to me, this beat is not very commercial, so you let me know if you don't really like it. And he sent it to me and I said, this is perfect. A few hours later, he then asked me when I think I'd be done with writing, for the music. And I said to him, I'm done. And he said to me, how? Because I've just sent the song to you. And what had happened was, a few weeks before I came back home, I had dreamt of this song, and fortunately I'd been able to wake up and record the lyrics and the melody that I dreamt of. And I forgot all about it, and weeks after I had come back home, I sort of stumbled upon it in my voice notes, and I started writing the song based on this idea that I had dreamt of. And the beat that DJ Ganyani sent to me just fit perfectly. And it just worked with the song. And so I basically had the song and it was done. And I said to him, I just need to tighten it here and there, but otherwise the song is there. And I think about 3 weeks or so, or 4 weeks later, we were in studio and we were recording the song. And now we have Tsokombela. And Tsokombela is about this woman who is in love with this man, but she, for a number of reasons, her pride, issues with vulnerability, or whatever else, it can be, she is a bit hesitant to pursue this relationship. But she says to this man, I sort of need to declare the fact that I really do love you and that I have this immeasurable love towards you. I have this sweet love towards you. And so you must know that I adore you. You must know that I love you. And so this is a song that is a declaration of this sweet, immeasurable love that this woman has towards this man.
I really love your rendition of Me Dorothy Masuka's song, Magumete. My assumption is that she was one of your role models. Which other artists do you draw inspiration from?
The late Mam Dorothy Masuku, may her beautiful soul rest in love always, was an inspiration to me, amongst others. I mean, her footprint in terms of her music, her songs, her writings is totally amazing, and it is far-reaching, and it is inspired. She didn't just write songs. She wrote songs that carried, certain messages with it. She was a political activist, and she did this through her music. I mean, it led her to going to exile at some point. And so I found her very inspirational in how she used her music, for activism. I am also inspired by a number of other artists, Kajanine, Angelique Kidjo, Sipogazi, Mbuso Khoza, Dobe Naore, Rokia Traore. Those are just the few people that I can think about right now whose music really inspires me. Jill Scott is another one. You know, I really, really love these artists and their work really inspires me.
So we live in the world of the fourth industrial revolution where we have access to the internet, which exposes us to music from across the world. But even with that, you have managed to remain rooted in your Tsonga language, in your Tsonga heritage, you know, with that finding expression in your music. How have you managed to do that?
I believe that as Africans, as a continent, we have heard so much from the world, about the world, and we have heard from the world about ourselves. We have been told who we are for the longest time, and I believe that it is time for us to tell the world who we are and to do it using our own languages, and in the same breath also preserving these languages through their use, you know, through using them through the writing of books and the writing of songs. And me writing in one of my home languages is me preserving, you know, our languages. And so this is me really just playing my part in doing that.
Tribute, tell me a little bit about your musical journey, the kind of challenges that you came across, and so far, what has been the highlight of your music career?
I grew up in a church-oriented family, and so I started singing at church, you know, singing in the youth choir, singing in different groups within the church, until I then started meeting musicians outside of the church and started experimenting with different kinds of music outside of gospel music. And it was in late 2011, early 2012, where I started performing as a solo artist, started pursuing music as a solo artist. And it was also in 2012 where I met Ubabsi Postole of Native Rhythms, who saw me perform at the Victory Theatre in Houghton. And that's where we connected, and he said to me he would like, you know, for us to work together at some point. And then after that, I got a gig in Qatar first, and then Dubai, working with a jazz band from here. Then towards the end of 2014, I then came back from Dubai, and we started then recording my debut album, which we released in 2015. It's been an amazing journey, and I've had a lot of, you know, great times on stage. And I think my highlight has been just performing on different stages, because, you know, growing up, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I thought about when I thought of my relationship with music. I just wanted to be on stage. I just wanted to perform. And I've gotten to perform on beautiful stages in and outside of South Africa. I've performed in East Africa. I've performed in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. I've performed in Zambia, you know, Swaziland. I've performed in Paris, France. I have performed in quite a number of stages here at home, the, you know, Cape Town International Jazz Festival, and a host of other, you know, stages. And so those for me have been the highlights of my music career. As for the kind of music that I do, I often struggle very much to categorize the kind of music that I do. I just know that it's highly influenced by all the different kinds of music that I listen to. You know, throughout my life, I've listened to a lot of gospel music, a lot of neo-soul, you know. Now I listen to music from other parts of the continent, and so my music is just that. It's just a collection of sounds, all the sounds that I listen to.
So currently the world is facing the battle against the coronavirus. We are seeing more and more people dying, and the number of cases is increasing. It is also affecting different industries. People are losing their jobs. But personally, how has it affected you?
The pandemic has not affected me greatly when it comes to my work as a singer, because essentially I had taken a break from performing. However, I had planned on doing a few live performances before I head back to school. And 2 of those performances were going to be at an annual festival which had been confirmed. And unfortunately, this is where we are now, and that cannot happen anymore. A lot of the other work that I do as a singer, the writing, conceptualizing shows or performances, that has not stopped. I can still do that from home.
It is Youth Month, and we are honoring the class of 1976 that fought against the apartheid system. What do you think are some of the challenges that the youth is currently facing?
One of the main challenges that we face as the youth is the challenge of unemployment. There are many, many of us who are just sitting at home unemployed, and not because we are not skilled and not because we do not qualify for any jobs, but it is just hard to find jobs. And this is on top of other challenges that we have to deal with, the drugs that are in our communities, the crime and the violence that we have to deal with. We always have to look over our shoulders every single day, because anything can happen at any time. Those, I think, are just some of the main challenges that we are faced with as the youth.
Just give me a brief background about where you grew up, your childhood memories, and your childhood friends.
I grew up in quite a number of places. I was born and raised in Bushbuckridge. We lived in Canningmore and then Mkhuhlu, and then we moved to Balfour, another part of Mpumalanga, and then eventually moved to Pretoria. And in all of those places where I grew up, the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about all of those places was school. I have great memories of being in school. I had, beautiful experiences at school, beautiful friends, and I really generally just loved school. I loved reading. I loved, everything that had to do with school growing up.
You are not only a musician, but also an academic. Right now you are doing your PhD. How do you balance the two?
Yes, I am not only an artist, I am also an academic, currently pursuing my PhD in anthropology. I unfortunately do not have a formula for balancing my life out. I mostly just prioritize what needs to be prioritized as things come. What I love about doing both is the fact that they kind of help balance each other out. Because when I'm really frustrated with the one, I can always turn to the other and focus my energies on the other one. And in that way, they kind of feed into each other and they help balance my life out.
So I suppose if you're not studying, you are on stage. But what else do you do? What do you do for fun? What kind of books are you into? And whose music are you listening to?
Fun. I don't do a lot of activities that I consider fun activities outside of the stuff that I do outside of my work. And because my work involves a lot of traveling, I guess that's fun because I really enjoy that. And also, I don't really have a lot of time, to fill with activities, a lot of gaps of time that needs to be filled with activities. So, yeah, I guess the traveling is fun, but it's also just a part of the work that I do. Books. Right now, I am reading a lot of ethnographies that have to do with my schoolwork. Fortunately, I really enjoy them as well. So currently I'm reading a lot of academic books and a lot of articles and all of that stuff. I think the last time I read a book that was an academic that I really, really enjoyed was, I think, about 2 years back when I read Gyasi's Homecoming. Beautiful book. I enjoyed and couldn't put down. Songs. Currently, I am listening to a lot of Dobei Nahore. She is from the Ivory Coast. really, really love her music. She is that one person whose music I'm really listening to right now.
So what else do you still want to do? What's next? Can we expect an album?
I will not be recording an album anytime soon because I have decided to dedicate the next few years towards pursuing this PhD, getting it done within, a certain time frame. And so I aim on giving it, as much attention as I can give it without any distractions. I am, however, planning on doing a few collaborations here and there with artists, musicians, but also just depending on whether I do have, time available to do all of that. And so an album will only come once the PhD is done.
For the next edition of Creatives Under Lockdown, you can visit sabcnews.com or at SABC News on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. For SABC Digital News, I'm Lerato Matlala.